Hi, friends. Who's talking to famous people? You just missed some really big sneezes for little Eric. Um, Let me also just say, boy, do cats have a lot of SI. They spend all day cleaning themselves, sleeping, eating, sleeping again. Well, speak of the kitty devil. Going outside to go to the bathroom. And assorted other nonsense. Now, granted, my cat is an ISFP. So she demonstrates more SI to me than some previous cats that I've had. But this is true of almost all cats, that they spend an inordinate amount of time cleaning themselves and sleeping. As far as I can tell, my cat is actually up and about actively doing stuff about 4 hours a day, maybe. The rest of the time she's just chilling, She's sleeping, she's licking herself, she's meowing about the food. We had to go get her more food yesterday because she's a very particular kitty when it comes to her food. She only likes certain food and doesn't like other food. So, well, that's it. Live stream over. That's all I had to say, was that cats have a lot of SI. Nah, it's not over. I'm just joking. I'm feeling slightly more rested than I look, which is a good sign. I got a good night's sleep last night and the night before, but I'm also a little bit sick. So is Rachel. So is my dad. We're all a little bit sick. Maybe we got the vid. Who knows? It's something equivalent to a cold. COVID's a common cold, whatever. Something like that. Something incredibly minor and non-lethal. But I don't think I actually have the COVID because I have a productive cough, not an unproductive cough. And from what I've read, COVID, you have an unproductive cough. I'm sure the productivity of my cough is on your list of things to talk about today. So you can check it off right now. We've talked about it. Is the live chat not working? Can somebody chat something? Maybe I could test it myself, I guess. Test. I'll give it a few more minutes. If nobody puts anything in the live chat, I'll assume it's broken. As sometimes happens on YouTube. Making a pot of coffee. First thing I did when I woke up, drove down to the gas station, got some cigarettes, because I was out of them. Took a couple Adderalls, waiting for the drugs to take effect, the usual. Thank you, Freddie Forgiato. I appreciate you putting your life at risk to relieve me of my concern. My concern being vastly more important. I don't have a whole hell of a lot to say right at the moment, to be honest. I kind of just start live streaming habitually. Thank you, 3DR Nomad, for testing to make sure Freddie Forgiato's test wasn't a scam. I was concerned Freddie Forgiato might have been scamming me with his initial test. I wasn't sure how he was doing it, but it seemed the most likely explanation. So, when Rachel and I went to the weed store last time, a couple days ago, we got what I call vinyl tubing weed. So, there are strains of weed. Usually it's the higher quality sativa heavy hybrids that aren't jack derived. Outer Self says your cats have less SI than some SI doms. Well, I've had cats that don't have as much SI, and I've had cats that have more SI. My current cat, Capillo, she's demonstrating SI so all the time. It's strange. I've never seen a cat be so meticulous about cleaning herself. She's every time you pet her, then she has to clean herself after you're done petting her because she's got your hand all over her or something. I don't know. She wants to be pet, but then she wants to clean up your mess after you're done petting her. But I also had a cat in Laverne named Normal, who was I'm convinced Normal was an ENTP cat. Eventually got himself into trouble. Capillo's an ISFP, yes. Now, sure, when people are saying, can you really personality type cats? I think I can. I mean, I wouldn't want to be grilled about it under scrutiny. Like, can you really type cats, Eric? The funniest thing is, if you have wet hair, with Capillo, if you have wet hair and you come out and you sit out here, she'll get all up in your hair. She'll put your face all around in it and grab your head with her paws and stuff. I think she reminds her of being a baby kitten with milking or something, you know. So interesting. I read Chinese astrology thing last night. There was this one site where it seemed pretty clear that all the words that they were saying about whatever were translated from Chinese into English, probably by Google Translate, you know. But I put in my stuff, and Rachel put in her stuff into this Chinese astrology calculator, which was about your moon specifically. And I couldn't believe this description it was such a spot on description of an ENTP. It's like better than any type description of an ENTP I've ever read. And it was a astrology thing. And of course, Rachel got her normal shitty results. The yachts and squares. Rachel has bad astrology, I guess. Like, she, if you're gonna have a birthday time and place, you don't want to be born in Yonkers on January 16th, 1985 or something. But I always get these like, oh, you special person. With the astrology stuff. It's kind of funny because, basically I don't believe in that shit at all. But Rachel's really into it, but I get all these like, ooh, wow, golden sparkly astrology. She gets all this like brown group astrology, like, sorry, you have to go to the brown group. As I explained to her last night, my good astrology kicked her bad astrology's ass, is the thing. That's why we're together. Well, yeah, that's how it's played out for Rachel, basically. That's basically how it's played out for Rachel. Hi, Elite LP. Because she has kind of a nuanced relationship with those kind of things compared to, say, N.I. Tool. But even so, I think it's been a source of kind of ongoing frustration for her that her magical thinking frames don't like her very much. Whereas her magical thinking frames like me a lot. Whether it's numerology, astrology, or even typology, those systems, those things, they seem to just like me a lot for whatever reason. I get nice words said about me when I do numerology stuff, when I do astrology stuff. According to, there's this thing you can do that tells you which mansion you are. Okay. So it's like Rachel and I are both in the Black Tortoise. And my mansion is Encampment and hers is Wall. The reason we even got there in the first place to Googling about this shit is because after watching all that anime, I was curious, why does the color vermilion always appear in Japanese animation? Why is it that the color vermilion? Because it's not a color you hear very often in English. It's not like there's a lot of references to vermilionarity of a millionaire in English. Vermilion is, you almost never hear the word in English, but you hear it all the time in anime. So I Googled it, and it turns out that the reason you hear it all the time in anime is because of these 4 Chinese symbols. One of which is the vermilion Mia of the East. And then there's the Black Tortoise of the North. And there's 2 more of them. I forget what they are at the moment. But White Tiger, and there's 1 more. And then there's actually a 5th one, which represents the Emperor. But that's in some people say that, and some people don't say that, Black Tortoise, White Tiger, Vermilion Mia, and And I don't know what the other one is. Azure dragon and vermilion bird of some kind. Maybe. I don't know. But so a lot of those Japanese animation things draw from these old Eastern notions, such as the 5 interactions and 2 cycles, which I also read about, which I thought was interesting. It's Phoenix. Okay. it's just tailor made to make an anime out of this whole system. You know, it's like it's got 12 12 mansions, I said. And then each of the mansions has a body part for each of those animals, right? The mansions are like where those animals live. And depending on your whatever, then you're a certain body part of that animal. I think Rachel was the neck, or I was the neck. I don't know. But it was pretty cool to learn about, to see how all of that, so much of the Japanese animation stuff I've been watching references this Chinese. I guess it's not just Chinese either. It's sort of East Asian system of the 5 elements, which are water, wood, metal, fire, and wind. And then these 5 interactions, which are poorly named, but they're things like overact. So I'll try to find it and read it again. It's like it doesn't really work as a system. I was trying to look at the mechanics behind it, and it assumes a lot of things that are silly, but it's kind of cool that they have this. Vermilion bird is right. In Japanese, Monday is water day. Tuesday is fire day. It's like I walk into my job place carrying like a bucket of water, and everybody there has got like little fires on their desk. I'm like, oh fuck, is it Tuesday? Sun Tzu bases the art of war off of those. May I highly recommend. May I highly, highly recommend the show that I just finished. It's very short. Like every episode is 5 minutes long. It's basically like a Japanese Adult Swim kind of show. But it's much better than Adult Swim shows basically ever are. It's called Extra Olympia Kai Close. I'll get the link to it right now. Okay, Extra Olympia High Close. So this is a very strange, kind of funny, but also very educational cartoon, a stop action cartoon about ancient Greece and all the ridiculous things they did in ancient Greece. It's very educational. In fact, at the end of every episode, and remember they're like 5-minute long episodes, there's a song in which you can learn to speak ancient Greek by singing along with it. And it's a different song every time. And it also teaches you something about ancient Greece. I really enjoy that quality of a lot of or some Japanese animation, that it tries to be informational. SpongeBob's great too. Look, the thing is, I agree that America has not won the animation war with Japan, okay? Let's just concede that right off the bat. But I will say that the greatest cartoon I've ever seen is BoJack Horseman. That's the most brilliant cartoon I've ever seen. And, you know, that's better than any anime I've ever seen. Of course, that's a really fucking high bar. I mean, it was kind of depressing, but it was captivating. I'll tell you that. It was absolutely captivating. I do know that, Nicola Christoph, thanks to that show I just linked you to. That's the only reason I know that. I've watched maybe an episode or two of it. I need to give it more of a shot. I don't know. Basically, not really. Have I watched Adventure Time? But I have really tried to. I'm kind of doing a lot of research right now. I think of it as being, by watching so much anime. I'm becoming a bit of an expert on it, and I like that. I like being very knowledgeable about things. And okay, so Eric McAllister, ESTP, I think you're referring to a phenomenon that always wows the pants off of me as well, which is the thing where they're telling one story and then they reveal a detail that makes you go, oh, all those things in the story back there that I thought they were telling this story, they were actually telling this story. You know? I mean, a great example of it is in BoJack Horseman, where Princess Carolyn tells the joke. She's like, you want to hear a joke? And he's like, yeah. And she says, so there's this guy who's a gardener, and he has gotten what he thought was the exact amount of bags of dirt he needed to complete a job. But it turns out he had an extra bag of dirt, and he was driving back right along the 10 freeway. He hit a bump, and that extra bag of dirt, it just flew right out the back of his truck. and off the side of the freeway. And BoJack Horseman's like, that's it? Oh, it was Wanda? Are you sure? I think it was Princess Caroline. But and then BoJack's like, that's not a joke. Um then like later on she finishes the other half of the joke. And I can't do justice to even explaining how it all played out. But when it happened, I was just like, oh my God. All my brains blew out the back of my head. My mind was blown. Like, that is genius beyond anything I've ever fucking seen. The bag of mulch, yeah. Oh my God. I just feel I want to like bow down and say, I am not worthy. That poem, halfway down in BoJack Horseman, it's not often that I ever say this about a piece of writing. I'll say it about a piece of music, frequently enough. Like, that song is so great, it's hard to believe it didn't exist already. That poem, I couldn't believe it didn't exist before that show. I thought it must be a poem that somebody wrote, a very famous poem about suicide that somebody wrote 50 years ago or whatever. It's being used in this show. No, that was written for the show. It was stunning. It was just, oh my God, the genius of these people, So it's like, I've seen some great anime. Yeah, Sylvia Plath for the show. It was the most nuanced and deft rendering of a bunch of complicated moral and social issues into a utterly absorbing television program that I've ever seen. Smartest show I've ever seen. So there was a movie I watched recently where they pulled that thing about a certain distance into it, and I was like, oh, I wish I could think of what the example was. Another example of that. It's a movie I watched recently. Rachel probably won't remember it either. She'll know what I'm talking about, but she won't remember it either. Clanad after story and it broke you? What? I've never even heard of Clanad. Is it super depressing or what? I mean, well, that's one of the interesting things about watching so much anime is that the range of the way it's a good example of media to look at a range of cognitive function stuff. Like, I finished the Ancient Mage's Wife, totally an FI show, but an excellent one. I cry constantly during anime, so I'm really easy to make cry when by TV shows or stuff. I like if you do your job well, then I I'm like I'm kind of an ideal audience member, which is I want you to succeed with your media that I'm watching. I want to enjoy it, and um, and if you do your job well, I will be totally absorbed, and my emotions will be painted on my face for everyone to see. You know, I'll cry at the spots that are supposed to make me cry. I'll laugh at the spots that are supposed to make me laugh. If you do your job well, I'm an excellent audience member. However, if you do your job poorly, I'm also an excellent audience member. I get to leave immediately. So it's like if I see shitty media, it's just I can't stand it. I'm currently let me go over some of the shows that I've watched. I've been saving them to my queue so I can keep an ongoing list. Otherwise, I know I'll forget so many of them. I've watched a lot of anime. When you're good and added up, you can kill a shit ton of episodes. So one of the interesting, strange animes I've discovered is this one that's called I Can't Understand What My Husband Is Saying. And it's about a normal woman who marries an otaku husband. I'll tell you, I'm going to go down the list right now of everything I've seen, Eric McAllister. Because I saw like 2 episodes of that. It was kind of interesting. Another extremely strange concept anime that I just sort of checked out briefly, just because it was such a strange concept. I just wanted to see what it was about. It's called Recorder and Ransel. Recorder and Ransel, if you read the show information about it, it's on the surface, it seems as if Atsushi is an adult, but he's really just an elementary student. However, he's paired with a second-year high school student, Atsumi, whose height is just the opposite of his. These two together create an unusual relationship based on playing the recorder, which is, of course, the instrument they gave you in 5th grade. Now, so the high school girl looks like a 5th grader. The 5th grade guy looks like an adult, and it's about playing the recorder. That's a strange concept for an anime show. I started watching one that turned out to be very bad. Like I only made it, I don't know, a few minutes, like 10 minutes into the first episode, I just like, oh, this is terrible. And it's called Namu Amida Butsu. Or the first episode is called No amount of shooting can keep earthly vices at bay. I'm on to my 4th episode of and plan to continue watching a little bit. Is called Sabe Jabu Survival Game Club. It's about high school girls who play airsoft, but in the game, in the show, the airsoft guns are treated like real guns. So basically, they're pretending, but they're always like running up to each other and shooting each other in the head and blowing their brains out and blood everywhere and everything. So it's kind of a funny show. Ushio and Tora I finished. That was 40 episodes long, and I enjoyed it. It was good. It made me cry a lot. It was kind of kids-ish, I like some kids-ish stuff though. Monster Strike is a kids show. It's like a kind of a Yu-Gi-Oh-ish thing that's not very good. Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba makes some of the worst. It starts out so promisingly, and That's what it is. Yeah, Winston's mom basically. It's a censor married to an intuitar. The husband's an INTP who writes a blog about about anime, and the wife's like a cute girl who's you love that one. You love that show. That's so FI polar to even possibly like that show. Talking about Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba. This is why it's FI polar to like that show. Even I'm not FI polar enough to like that show. They will go from insanely dark domestic violence and murder to terrible physical clowning humor with no gear shift in between and back and forth. And it's like, okay, these people are not writing this show carefully. The beginning of it was so promising, and then at a certain point it just got ridiculous because okay, there's this one guy who's supposed to be scared all the time. It's so over the top, and then it comes like right in between these incredibly dark, heavy scenes, and it's just okay. Whoever wrote this is FI polar and young too. Another one the one I'm watching right now, I'm on episode 8 and I'm enjoying it. It's called Akashic Records, a Bastard Magic Instructor. It was a little slow getting going, but I'm kind of getting into it now. I have watched I'm on episode 14 or something of Boruto Next Generations, but I kind of fast forward through some of those, and the thing about it is it's like it's just so much like Naruto that I don't even want to get involved with another massive trip down Naruto Lane or something. I don't know. Twin Star Exorcist was great. Rachel and I watched all 50 episodes. Rachel watched the occasional episode here and there. You don't fuck with Boruto. I'm gonna have to really be out of things and still want to watch anime to put Boruto back on probably. So yeah, Twin Star Exorcist is a beautiful love story, frankly, and one that I really enjoyed, and it's also the sort of standard tropes of anime of demon slaying and magic and stuff like that. But it's about these two 14-year-olds who are supposed to be the Twin Star Exorcists, and they get put into a mansion and said, "You're married now," and of course. The hope is that they will mate and produce the Miko, the child that's supposed to kill the big bad guy or whatever. But it turns out that, and so all the adults are trying to get them to mate. And of course, they're just a couple of very shy 14-year-old kids. And then the show later on, then it skips ahead 2 years after some episodes, and it goes to when they're 16. But they never do poke. They, by the end of the show, they kiss. It's a sweet show. I liked it, and it made me emotional. One of my big surprises. This makes my list of favorites, and there are very few that actually. None of the ones I've said so far made my list of favorites. Well, actually, Extra Olympia Close makes my list of favorites. Even though it's like when I first started watching, I was like, "What is this thing? This is going to be terrible." But no, it really turned out to be good. But World Trigger, it's probably at the bottom on the list of favorites. The Olympia Greek Close thing. World Trigger. I really enjoyed the fuck out of it. It definitely makes one of my list of favorites. It's really interesting and exciting and well worth all 73 episodes. I'm watching Dr. Stone. I like Dr. Stone a lot. It's not one of my favorites, but I won't miss an episode of it for sure. If you haven't watched Dr. Stone is about everybody turns to stone and then they start waking up 3,700 years later, and this one science kid is trying to rebuild civilization. It's basically like Minecraft plus Civilization game. All right, the next one I want to talk about is regarding Zero starting life in another world. I got about 20 episodes in. I'm on or 21 episodes in, and I went away from it for a while. I'll probably go back to it at some point. It's a little depressing, frustrating, I guess. The thing is, this guy keeps dying and using this return to life. If you haven't seen JoJo's, what is JoJo's? Is it okay? I'll look it up. So regarding Zero starting life in another world is like I said, it's kind of frustrating and kind of depressing to watch. I'm kind of invested in the story, but I had to take a break. Now, here's another one of my actual favorites. Blue Exorcist is one of my actual favorites. Top 3 or 4. Very incredibly good show. I loved the fuck out of that show, frankly. I don't know what else to say about it except I like that show, and there's a T-shirt that one of the characters in it wears that I want to buy from on the internet at some point. Now, after Blue Exorcist, Fire Force. Fire Force is my absolute favorite of all of the anime I've seen. It's my single favorite one. Fire Force is so juicy. So Fire Force, it was the show of all the shows I've seen that most successfully incorporated humor, action, emotion, and visuals as a complete package. Oh yeah, isn't it beautiful? Fire Force, I think, kind of objectively, most people would agree that just visually, it's one of the more stunning animes. Their use of the blues and the reds and stuff is just, it really pops. And I don't really care that much about the visuals usually, but that one is beautifully, beautifully drawn. Well, Naruto was what got me into it. What got me into anime in the first place? The first anime I watched was Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. I watched all of Naruto Shippuden, and then and all of Naruto, and then I didn't watch any more anime for a long time, and then I what was the first one back that I watched? Like, I don't. Maybe it was Attack on Titan. People have recommended that to me so many times. Maybe I watched that. Was the first one back to anime. But once I got Crunchyroll, I realized, you know what? There's some good ass shows here. And that's the end of the story. It's like you get stuck watching these things. So I watched a couple episodes of this thing called Blood Blockade Battlefront. It's not for me. I don't think. I watched all the episodes of Hunter x Hunter, 148 of them. I want that show to continue. There's so many unfinished storylines in that show. I'm watching Noblesse or Noblesse right now. I like it. It's a good new show. I wouldn't call it as good as, it's not among my favorites though. Hunter x Hunter is among my favorites. And interestingly, it's as Fire Force is incredibly well drawn, so too Hunter x Hunter is rather amateurishly drawn. Ace of the Diamond, I've watched a lot of episodes of it, but I stopped at the end of season after episode 51. And there is another season that I haven't watched, but I haven't started it yet. The problem with Ace of the Diamond is that it makes a mistake that a lot of, I have not seen Code Geass or Tokyo Ghoul. I don't like Dragon Ball Z. Now I haven't watched it dubbed, subtitled. I've only watched it dubbed before, so it's not really fair of me to say. But from what I can tell, I really don't like Dragon Ball Z. It doesn't have enough story. It's just too much fighting. What anime would a cat with so much SI watch? I mean, there's a lot of slice of life animes that are extremely boring that they'd probably watch. Okay, so next up on the list of things here, Sword Art Online. Sword Art Online was good until they got out of Sword Art Online. And once they got out of Sword Art Online, then it was no longer good. So I got through all the main Sword Art Online. And then I got actually 21 episodes into what becomes this something, this, I don't know. Basically, it becomes like this soap opera after they get out of Sword Art Online. I wouldn't call it among my favorites really, but the first part where they were stuck in Sword Art Online, that was really good. I really enjoyed that. My Hero Academia, one of my favorites. That makes my list of favorites. Really good show. I mean, just wow, really good. I don't have anything to do with that Discord, William Hamilton. I don't have anything to do with it at all. So if you got banned, it wasn't me who banned you. And I have no capacity to unban you. Okay. Next up, Rising of the Shield Hero. I was disappointed when this one ended because it needs another season. The thing about it is, it's kind of a weird show. Pretty good. I don't know if I'd put it in my favorites, but it's pretty good. And it's about basically these 4 people get transported from other worlds to be the heroes of these various weapons, but they all get transported to one of the countries, and there's supposed to be like 4 countries that each get one of them, and the one country that gets all 4, they hate the shield guy for some reason. And so he's like, what the hell? I'm supposed to be this hero, right? But everybody here is trying to fuck me over. So that was kind of a fun show. You underappreciated Shields until that show. Me too, Eric McAllister. Me too. All right. Next, we've got Yashashimi Princess Half Demon. I got kind of bored of this after 12 episodes. I could start watching it again. It's not bad. It's not good, really, either. It's just sort of, yeah. Jujutsu Kaisen. This is one of my favorites. It's one of the best new ones that's currently coming out right now that I'm watching week to week. It's great. Jujutsu Kaisen is great. It's another one of those kind of demon killing ones, but I really like the show. It's just really well done. It's not so much original in its concepts or anything. It's just a really well done example of it. Next up, Attack on Titan. I mean, maybe the best one of all, of all the animes. But I mean, I like Fire Force more. I really enjoyed Fire Force. But I haven't seen Akame Got Killed. I haven't seen that one. So, Attack on Titan, it's hard, even though I say Fire Force is my favorite, it's hard to say that it's objectively better than Attack on Titan.